Good afternoon, folks. Good evening, I guess. This is Rob Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365 with your daily update for today, Monday, September 13th. It is Monday, and that means it is Metcalf's Monday. Metcalf's is your fourth generation family-owned and operated market with stores in Madison at Hilldale Mall and behind Westtown Mall and in Wauwatosa at 68th and State Street. They work to support local farmers and products and have over 3,500 local products on their shelves. And there's still a pandemic, and it's just easier sometimes to order your groceries. So you can go to anytime, you can go to shopmetcalfs.com and order for pickup or delivery. And we appreciate Metcalfs and their support of Madison365 in the daily update. So we'll talk through some COVID numbers, which are actually, even for a Monday, a little better than what we've seen the last few Mondays, which is nice to see. I'm not sure 100% why they're better, but basically nationwide, in terms of at least new cases, things are starting to settle down a little bit, which is nice to see, but I don't want to get my hopes up, right? We see this, we've seen in previous surges, we've seen where things will go down for a couple of days and then start to spike back up. But for today, we're going to take the good news that we can get. Today, we're reporting 665 new cases across the state of Wisconsin, which, Mondays are always low because there's not as much testing happening over the weekends, right? Or not as much paperwork being done. But that puts our 7-day average at 1,482 new cases. That was 1,700 almost, a week ago. So the 7-day average, not only is the number of cases today lower than we've seen, the average number of cases per day is also down, which is great. The 7-day average of positive tests, which means of all the tests in the past 7 days, the percentage that came back positive, 7.7%. That's the same as it was on Friday, which is what we like to see. It's still too high, right? We still got to get that to below 3.0. Right, which is where we were, in June, May and June, we were down below 3. So we want to get back down there, but 7.7 is not 8.4, right? Once you get over 8 or 9 or 10%, that's catastrophic. 7.7, really high, but at least not getting worse and slowly moving in the right direction. We'll see if that continues. Deaths. Only one new death reported on Sunday, but our 7-day average of deaths is still at 13, which is on the high side. That we had 2 days last week where a total of 56 deaths were reported in 2 days. Now, those deaths didn't all happen those 2 days. That's when they were reported into the state data. Right, so that's why the 7-day average of deaths is really important to look at because of the really sporadic manner in which they are reported. Right, so the fact that that's still 13 per day over the past 7 days is too high for my taste. I don't like it being that high, obviously, but it hasn't gotten worse, and only one death reported Sunday. Most of the deaths are typically reported on Wednesdays and Thursdays, so we will see over the next few days if the deaths get any better. Looking also to hospitalizations, which is also another important indicator because there's very little interpretation required here. Somebody's either in the hospital or they're not, right? Hospitalizations are up again, 1,056 currently in the hospital. That's up by 27 from yesterday. That's up by 63. So about maybe a 6% increase over the past week. So in terms of percentage increases, that hospital population is increasing, but not quite as steeply. This curve isn't quite as steep as it was. It's starting to level off a little bit. It still is increasing, though. 27 more people in the hospital today than yesterday. That's kind of a lot. Still roughly a third, a little more than a third of all the hospital cases are currently occupying intensive care units. That's down. That's 327 total right now. That's down by 1 since yesterday, but that's not a meaningful decrease. We're still, well below, or I should say, ICUs across the state are occupied well above 90% occupied. So hospital resources on the edge of getting kind of thin right now for Wisconsin. Last year, when we got to a little over 1,000 people hospitalized, there was talk of field hospital in Milwaukee. They actually put that together. They built it. They were using it in December and January, December, January, when we had over 2,000 people hospitalized. There were some overflow patients being taken to that Milwaukee facility as they were recovering. Right? They weren't doing intake at the hospital. That hospital was like, when somebody was on the mend and starting to get better, it would go to that other facility for the last couple of days of their hospitalization, just to kind of, as they were on their way to going home. Right? I haven't heard anything about reopening that, but we're headed that direction. Right? We're well over 1,000 people hospitalized. We're almost halfway to our peak hospitalization from last year already, which is not great. We're still about 6 weeks ahead of where we were last year in terms of these numbers. Now, these numbers might peak early, might peak at like the same level, but just earlier in the year this year, and then go back down like they did last year. Or they might reach that peak from last year and keep going up. We'll have to wait and see. Now, as I mentioned, the case numbers and the positive test rate are both trending in the right direction over the past week. Okay, that provides me some comfort because that's also the trend we're seeing nationwide. Right, so that makes me think it's not just a weird anomaly in the data for this 1 week. It is like a nationwide thing. I'll want to see it for 2 or 3 weeks before I really breathe a sigh of relief. If those case numbers continue to go down, then we'll also see hospitalizations and deaths start to go back down 2 or 4 weeks from now. But that'll be great. I'll be very happy about that. If that happens, we'll have to wait and see. It's possible that we're kind of reaching a critical mass of vaccinations. We are 52.4% vaccinated. That's decent news. We've still got a long way to go. A lot more people to get vaccinated, but there's more mandates now. There's more incentives, and so the needle is going to start to move there. Okay, we're going to take a short break. Stay with us. Yes, this is true. I'm going to be talking about this in the next couple of days. I'm going to look into this a little bit more. As Jamie says, schools are getting hit hard. Depending on what you mean by hit hard, there are in the hundreds of cases in schools. Does one case in a vaccinated teenager? How big a deal is that? It's hard to say. I mean, it is a big deal for that kid, obviously. But when you start to see, like in Dane County, week before last, 1/10 of all the new cases were in kids 8 to 11. Like just that really narrow age gap, 8 to 11, was 1/10 of all the cases in Dane County last week or week before last. So, and that was before schools even open. So I'm going to be looking into that the next couple of days. So thank you for bringing that up, Jamie. Appreciate it. We're going to take a short break. Don't go away, though. We'll have some more news for you and some soccer highlights if you're into that sort of thing from this weekend's home match against Richmond. We will be right back right after this message from Madison College.
I wasn't sure if it was the right time.
Then I heard about the College Try.
You take classes for 7 days, see if it works for you.
No obligation, no worries. I kept going. I'm so glad I did.
I wanted to do online classes, but I didn't have a computer. Then Madison College hooked me up.
You can borrow a college laptop and a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Seriously.
My dad always says, give it the old college try.
For real, give Madison College the college try.
Try Madison College risk-free for 7 days.
No commitment.
Just try it.
Like a free trial for college.
Like, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? All right, a couple more news stories from the local area here in Wisconsin. First of all, the Ho Chunk Nation started right away when the refugees started to arrive from Afghanistan. The Ho Chunk Nation basically made an announcement that these folks that are coming to the United States are being settled, or not really settled, but housed at Fort McCoy, which is on traditional indigenous Ho Chunk land. And so the Ho Chunk Nation took the lead on welcoming those folks here and collecting donations for them because they're arriving with not very much stuff. And they're going to try to make their way of it here in the United States. Some will stay in Wisconsin, some won't. But the fact is that they're here now. We are hosting them. We're hosting about 7,000 of them right now, and we're trying to be good hosts. So they're collecting clothes and footwear, personal hygiene products, backpacks and luggage, as well as baby items. And Madison College is helping us out with this. So you go to Madison College on the east side of Madison between 10 and 1 on Friday. You can drop off donations. There's also lots of several of the Madison College campuses who are collecting donations right now. If you go to Madison365.org, you can see all those collection sites and locations. Also, this weekend, Sunday, is the Viva Mexico Festival in Madison at Breese Stevens Field. This is an annual thing. This is the 20th annual. Some of us grew up thinking Cinco de Mayo was Mexican Independence Day. It is not. If you didn't know that. September 16th is. So Hispanic Heritage Month runs from September 15th through October 15th. So right now is the Viva Mexico Festival, food and fun and music and dancing and all sorts of fun stuff at Breese Stevens Field on Sunday. Speaking of Breese Stevens Field, that was the site of the Forward Madison home match against Richmond, the Henny Derby. We've got some highlights for you here if you enjoy soccer and weren't at the game. We'll pick it up here. Oops. We'll pick it up here in about the third minute here. Phil Brino with a huge save early on in that match. Phil Brino, for this save and for a couple others that you'll see, earned Team of the Week honors for keeping the clean sheet. In the first half, lots of chances here for Madison, including Aaron Malloy, who very rarely misses from there.
You would think he could put it away there, pressing on him from all ends. Felt a little hurried.
He has an absolute rocket from 17 yards and just put it wide.
His laces through it like he normally does, but not. Maybe it's a thank you, Captain Obvious, but it's also something that you might forget about because they're so valuable, those chances to get points, but if you don't win or if you're losing those, then it's kind of useless.
Christian Enrique is just back from injury, having a go right at one of the best goalkeepers you'll see this season, Akira Fitzgerald, playing for the Richmond Kickers.
Trying to get himself on the goal sheet. Hasn't scored yet this year. Nearing 2 minutes of added time. Vigneault's ball comes in. Couple deflections off the hands of Brino and out for a corner. Take a look at the replay to see who put that one on frame. It was, who else? Emiliano Keegan moving forward now. Calvo trying.
Here's a magic moment for Madison. Jay Keegan with 4 defenders around him finds a way to get it across to Brian Sierakowski, who is not going to miss from there. That's Sierakowski's second goal in 3 matches since coming over to Madison from New England. Massive performance from him. Look at that square ball, beautifully done. Pops it up, little bounce, hammers it home. And that is all Madison would need as they would go on to a 1-0 victory. That victory launched them from 11th place in the league up to 6th. The top 6 move on to the playoffs. So that puts them in playoff position, and they have games in hand, meaning they have not played as many games as all the teams above them, except for one. So they have a lot of opportunity in the month of the rest of September and into October to make some headway, up the table and into the playoffs. All right, that is all I have for you today. I appreciate you sticking with me. Sorry I was late today. We'll be back tomorrow, probably closer to my normal time, around 4:30, for tomorrow's update with new numbers for you from COVID. We'll hope to continue to look good, but good or bad, we will bring it to you. we'll bring it to you honestly, without hyperbole, not trying to scare you or panic you or anything like that, or to downplay anything. We're just going to give you the straight facts. And we'll do that tomorrow again at 4:30. If you are a podcast person, go to wherever you get your podcast and search for It's Only 10 Minutes. You'll find our daily news podcast every morning called It's Only 10 Minutes. It's usually more like 20 minutes, but it's kind of a joke title. Until then, until tomorrow, have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourself. Take care of everybody you love. We'll see you soon.
This is 365 Media.